Hi guys, today we're going to take a look at another of these brilliant gold mine lithographs from the 1860s, and this time it's Ballarat's United Extended Band of Hope Company at their number 2 shaft. This lithograph presents us with a view of the mine's above-ground structures, the interior of the puddling and engine houses, and a portion of their underground workings. And there are several interesting features shown here which give us insight into the incredible story of underground deep lead mining. Now let's start with a quick overview, if that's even possible with this remarkable company. These guys began as the Band of Hope Company back in the late 1850s, and over the next few decades they overcame difficulties beyond belief, continually expanded their operations, evolved through several name-changing amalgamations, and raised unbelievable amounts of gold from an unbelievable number of shafts. I won't be telling the story of this company as a whole in this video, but I will quickly tell you the beginning. The Band of Hope Company sank their first shaft in deep ground, which had been proven by boring, and with this shaft they were way out on their own. Their isolated position meant that they had no assistance by surrounding companies in dewatering the ground, and great difficulties were met with in sinking through the wet basalt. Even after the shaft was puddled or waterproofed to keep the water out, water pressure became so great that the timbers repeatedly broke and the puddling failed again and again. When they finally reached what they thought was a sufficient depth, they drove out, but soon broke into a body of drift, swamping the mine and flooding the shaft with 100 feet of sand and water. It took over 2 years of hard work, determination, and innovation to finally overcome the flooding and running sand, and this wasn't the only time the mine was swamped. But that was the company's number 1 shaft, and what we're looking at here is the number 2. In 1861, the Golden Gate Company ceased operations and sold its claim and shaft to the Band of Hope. The shaft was originally only 5 feet by 3 feet, and the Band of Hope cut it down to 8 feet by 3 feet, taking it on as their number 2 shaft. This cutting down of shafts was common, as many of the early shafts were very small, and in order to accommodate the pumping and haulage setups required to work the deep ground efficiently, they soon needed to be enlarged. This shaft was also deepened to 420 feet, and they didn't just have a well at the bottom, they had a whole reservoir for the water. They opened out a level to head to what they called the Redan lead, but was later proven to be the Golden Point lead below the junction. We can see air pipes extending down along the main drive, which at the time of this lithograph was 1,100 feet long. At 810 feet, a shaft was put up into the back of the level, intersecting the gutter, which turned out to be over 200 feet wide here, with wash dirt 5 foot 6 inches thick. This mine had a very good setup, where their main drive is located well below their wash drive. They rise up into the lead and excavate the wash dirt, lowering it down to the main level below to be hauled to the shaft. Water can be drained from the workings to the reservoir at the main shaft using nothing but gravity. But not only this, they also have a decent amount of room to head downstream along the lead from this main level. As we've seen in my previous video about the Pioneer Gold Mining Company, it is ideal to keep all drives at a slight inclination heading out from the shaft in order to help with haulage and water drainage. As the main drive heads out at a slight incline downstream along the lead itself, being an ancient riverbed, is travelling at a slight decline. Eventually the two will meet, and when this happens, the mine is said to have lost level. As well as causing all kinds of headaches in further development, this can also cause sudden swamping of the mine. At this point, it's best to either sink deeper from the main shaft and put out a deeper drive, or put in a whole new shaft further down the lead. So at this point, these guys are looking good. They've got these 2 shafts here, and these are interesting because they are balance shafts. These were used to lower wash dirt from the wash drive into the reef drive below to be trucked back to the shaft. A balance shaft typically has 3 compartments, 2 for cages and 1 for a ladderway. Each cage holds 1 truck, and the cages are connected to each end of the same chain, which passes over a pulley at the top of the compartments. As a loaded truck is sent down from the wash workings, it pulls the other cage containing an empty truck up to the top. The speed of the cages is regulated by a brake, which is operated by a lever. We are very fortunate to have a photo of a 19th century balance shaft taken underground in Carisbrook's Chalks No. 1 mine, one of a series of photographs taken which give us a rare and fascinating glimpse into the underground workings of deep lead mines. I've made a video at the Chalks No. 1 mine which explores these photos, so in case you're interested in checking that out, I'll put a link in the top right and in the description below. So, once the wash dirt is lowered down the balance shaft, it is trucked back to the main shaft. The main drive of this mine had double lines of rails. Once the trucks are brought to the main chamber by the shaft, they're loaded into a cage and hauled to the surface. Not long after this lithograph was made, this mine started using double-deck cages and was raising an average of 400 trucks per shift. We can see that this mine is using steam-powered puddling machines and they're winding using flat rope or flat chain. It's hard to say from this drawing, but we won't dwell on these sections as I've talked about puddling and winding in my previous 2 videos. We won't dwell on the above ground structures either as again I've talked about a lot of this stuff before. But here's something interesting. These lithographs by Hermann Deutsch have sections which display the company's shareholders. You may notice that some are listed as working shareholders and others are sleeping shareholders. The difference between these is that a working shareholder worked in the mine for their share and a sleeping shareholder paid for it. Here are some of the shareholder lists shown on these lithographs, some longer than others, but none of them are anything compared to the United Extended Band of Hope. And a quick glance reveals the name of H. Deutsch. I haven't looked into it, but I wonder if this is Hermann Deutsch, the lithographer himself. Over here we can see that this company is not only registered to work the Golden Point lead, they're registered for sections of the Golden Point, Frenchman's, Redan, Inkerman, Suburban and Dead Horse leads. There's a brilliant map over on the other side which shows the locations of the leads and some company shafts, but it also shows something else of great importance. These fan sections indicated on the map are frontage claims, part of a unique system developed in Ballarat in 1856 in order to overcome some of the many problems associated with mining the deep leads beneath the basalt. The revolutionary frontage system would ensure that each party sinking a shaft got to work a portion of the gutter, and that less time, money and effort would be wasted in the sinking of unnecessary or poorly positioned shafts. The precise boundaries of frontage claims were not fixed until the position of the lead within the claim was actually proven. When a frontage lead was registered, all the claims to work it were laid out in numbers, and a plan of their potential positions along the lead resulted in these peculiar fan-like shapes. The frontage system was brilliant in theory, but in practice it came up against many complications. First of all, the system was set up with relatively small mining parties in mind, as for most folks it was a great priority to keep ownership of the mines in the hands of the working miners. But these small parties simply could not raise the capital required to develop these very deep and very difficult mines. Secondly, the complications which came from trying to set out frontage claims along numerous leads, with their unpredictable twists, turns and junctions, created endless overlaps and disputes, resulting in a ridiculous amount of expensive litigation between mining companies. After 10 years of playing a crucial role in deep lead mining at Ballarat, the frontage system was done away with. And in fact, the last company to take up a frontage claim was the United Extended Band of Hope on the 14th of July, 1866. Thanks for watching this video. If you're interested in learning more about the fascinating gold mining history of Victoria, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.